Hello, everyone. Today's guest is an internationally known scientist through her research in pharmacology, neurobiology, and molecular biology. With published articles diving into the studies of stress on neurodegeneration and possible preventative agents, her research is needed in the medical community. While I have known Dr. Evans since I was 15, she does not cease to amaze me, from her dedication to empowering those wanting to further their career in pharmacology to extending their career research into pharmaceutical sciences. The fact that she has never let any obstacle get in the way of her dreams, and when informed of an additional pathway, she pivoted. She is a true inspiration to me. A McKnight Doctoral Fellowship awardee, a woman in science and STEM. Let's welcome Dr. Jasmine Evans, PhD, to the Evolved Nurse podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so
Hello,
much.
Jasmine.
Hello there.
So I like to ask this question just because I know that we don't always end up where we think we're going to end up. So, did you always want to be in pharmaceutical sciences?
So, the short answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
But what I always wanted to do since I was in the 10th grade, I wanted to be a pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
And this came about when my younger sister was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I was sitting at the pharmacy admiring one of the pharmacists there who I later had the privilege to work with for at the pharmacy as a youth apprenticeship participant in high school. And so I was able to eventually gain employment and work under him, as well as his brother and other pharmacists within the area, and learn about pharmacy and what that looked like. And so while working in the pharmacy, I knew that I always had a question of more. So we had some patients that would come in and they took a laundry list or a grocery list of medications. And I always wondered, okay, why are they being prescribed this medication and they already have this medication? And not most times it was people that were Black and brown. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to understand, okay, what are these medications actually doing? I understand they're taking these medications for symptoms such as blood pressure or diabetes or whatever ailments they may have. But I always had that question. And I love pharmacy. I really fell in love with it when I was able to become licensed as a pharmacy technician and do all the things within that realm. But I stumbled upon pharmacology, toxicology. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
pharmacologist, toxicologist. So I stumbled upon that unbeknownst to me. One of my professors asked me to look up the difference between a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. So they are similar, but they are also different. So
Mm-hmm.
for pharmacologists, toxicologists, we look at the molecular mechanisms of medication. So we understand how the medication, after you've taken the medication, where does it go? So the distribution, the absorption, excretion, metabolism. So the
Mm-hmm.
ADME aspect of the medication. But we make sure that that medication, before it is even given to a patient, we make sure, one, that that medication is safe for you. So we know the mechanism of action. So if we want to target a headache, okay, we know that if you're taking it orally, it's going to go through the first pass effect. So we have to be able to formulate that medication to where it goes through all of those different mechanisms in the body. You know, it goes to the liver. We have those enzymes that act upon that medication. So we have medications that are pro-drugs, antagonists and agonists. So it's just a lot of different components that go
Mm-hmm.
to it when we get into these medications, formulating them, as well as making sure they're safe and effective for the body.
So,
Yes.
as I'm listening to you speak, it's always that science mind, the curiosity that always comes up because we did initially go to the same undergrad school, but
Yes.
during that time, they did lead a lot in research and not a lot in medicine. And so they did push research a lot. So it
Yes.
does create a mind of curiosity like, what is the next thing? So,
Mhm.
okay, we have this. What is the next thing? And so
Mhm.
I love that that curiosity sparked in you, and when you were offered, hey, you should go over and look into this, even though all of these years you had been a farm tech forever, even while we were
Yes.
in undergrad, it
Yes.
was
Before
like,
undergrad.
uh-huh. And so it was like, okay, now that I see this, this is really what I was questioning then. And then making that pivot, because sometimes it's very hard to stray away from your dream list of things that you
Yes.
want to do.
Yes.
So, what are some obstacles that you have had to overcome with going into that
Mhm.
program?
Yes, a lot of different obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
So, even as a child, I had to overcome obstacles. So, um, being one of those kids who I was great at math and science. Reading was not my strong suit, neither was history. I just wasn't the history type person. So I had obstacles there. So I was initially, one of my teachers told my mother that, I needed more attention, more help. And so, which was fine. So my mother was able to pivot and give me the attention and the
Mm-hmm.
help that I needed. But I faced obstacles in undergrad, not only from my professors, one who was the dean at the time of the school in undergrad and one of my undergrad schools that I attended. So from that conversation, I matriculated to another to a HBCU,
Mm-hmm.
where the knowledge people they were pouring into me. So, and even in pharmaceutical industry, I faced a lot of different challenges and obstacles. But one thing I will say, I never used the word hard. It
Mm-hmm.
was just a challenge. And I was able to accept the challenge, and I knew that I knew me, and I was
Mm-hmm.
able to pivot or maneuver in ways that I could eventually win that challenge. So these obstacles, yes, they were hard, but they made me who I am today. And
Mm-hmm.
even in graduate school, people, professors that I'm there supposed to be learning from them, they made it challenging for me. But I never once developed any ill will towards them, because I knew at the end of the day, this is something that I wanted. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever obstacles or whatever they tried to throw at me, I knew how to first. I had to learn how to do this, but I learned it. Bite my tongue.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, bite my
Mm-hmm.
tongue and just say, okay, then, Jasmine, well, let me just show them.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you have to be strong in your faith too. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot. Yeah, you just have to not get over it, but know that nothing that's standing in your way is going to be there forever. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
stepping stone that you have to step on to get to the path that you're trying to be on.
And I do think, speaking of our, I would say, our initial alma mater, because we
Uh-huh.
have gone to several different schools since then,
Yes.
um, that pouring into you is not something that we saw. And it was also not a lot of available options for us. I think if y'all listen to, I think, one of our episodes with a PA, that's my cousin Shamika,
Mhm.
and she and I actually went to that same dean to speak to him about opportunities in
Uh-huh.
medicine. And he was like, y'all have to figure it out yourself.
Exactly.
And we just had to figure it out ourselves. We didn't let what he said to us hinder us from going forward. We went to all of these hospitals to be able to go and shadow to see what we wanted to do in the medical field. But when you have to pour into yourself that much, when you're a college student, you already don't know a lot. You're not given the resources, and they have the resources, but they don't give them to you. You have to learn how to fight your way out of it. And
Yes.
yes, people may say that it's hard, but yes, we do think of it as a challenge and we move forward past it. But it is definitely a challenge, like you said, when you're going to your professors, the people that you feel like should
Mhm.
pour into you. Because, of course, we're on the medical pathway
Right.
and they only want to give you resources for research. And that's it.
Yes. If any.
If any, depending on who you are. And
Yes.
that's really unfortunate because
Yes.
a lot of us have made great strides, in our careers, in our lives. But there are some people who their words did affect to the point where they wanted to give up or they did give up.
Yes. Yes.
So to those who have programs that are like that, I would advise you to do similar to what Dr. Evans did. And if you need to get out of there because it's affecting how you feel about yourself, your self-confidence, and your self-worth, then it may be best for you to leave that institution. Stop giving them your money just because you spent time there.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, what do you feel like pharmacology itself does? Well, let's talk about toxicology.
Hmm.
What do you feel like it contributes to the medical community? I know you gave us some bits and pieces earlier,
Hmm.
but what do you want to expound upon?
Yes, so pharmacology and toxicology, they go hand in hand.
Hmm.
So you can't really have one without the
Right.
other. So pharmacologist and toxicologist, so that I'm both
Hmm.
technically. So what again, we look at the safety of the drugs, the medications. So how once these clinical trials have went through, even before clinical trials, preliminary data that is collected. So we want to make sure first the medication that we're studying or trying to formulate is safe for consumption. So we do a lot of different studies, so in vivo, in vitro studies, and then we look at, okay, for example, in my research, I looked at how my medication, which is a natural compound,
Hmm.
how did it, the cell efficacy. So I looked at cells and how did this medication or this compound was able to neuroprotect my cells, the cell line that I was working with. So with that, we just look at those effects. We manage the risk of the drug, and we evaluate basically the drug cycle. And so with these different things, we go hand in hand with all the medical professionals, because without people like me,
Hmm.
you wouldn't have medications, because we need to make sure, again, these medications are one, safe, they're
Hmm.
effective, and they are costs. They're you're able to afford them. And
Yes.
so yeah, and we also are in the space where we have what we call personalized medicine. So we have different attributes of medicine where they formulate this medication based on different samples that they obtain from a patient. So it's just a world renowned outlook of medicine. And all of us, it takes all of us to push these medications forward.
I think that that is wonderful that you said that because when you're looking at a patient holistically, if you
Hmm.
look at their DNA, if you look at their environment that can potentially change their
Right.
DNA, their stressors, everything that affects the patient, actually having medication that is directly for that patient
Hmm.
is extremely important. Like
Yes.
taking the same standardized dosage
Hmm.
as someone else may not do anything for you, and that may be why we're seeing that patients aren't able to get better because they have those standard levels and dosages.
Right.
So whenever you were introduced to that form of science, how did it feel to you? Was it like an aha moment? Because it was just an aha moment for me.
At first, I was lost a little bit, because I was like,
Hmm.
okay, lost in the sense that I was here, but I didn't know how I got here. I had to really sit back and reflect. Jasmine, how did you really get here? But this is what you were asking for, and
Yes.
now you here. So it
Hmm.
was an aha moment, but also I won't say that I had imposter syndrome, but I had to really grow into the space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so growing into the space, but I enjoyed it once I realized, okay, this is where you are. You asked for this. This is what you've been wanting. Now
Hmm.
you have to do it. So it was a lot, and I faced some hardships there too. So I'll just tell you a quick story. When
Hmm.
I came in with my class, it's only about five or six of us. One of the professors there told me that I had the lowest GPA, and I did. So I had a 3.02. Okay, but I worked hard for that 3.0 too.
Exactly.
I really worked hard. If they only knew what I went through. But what I knew that I could do is outwork them. And so that's what I did. So I worked.
Hmm.
And
Well,
so,
you
yeah,
really do. And that's what I tell people all the time is that I went into my doctorate program with a 2.93. I did.
yeah,
It kind of is what it is. You know, whenever you're entering into some of these nursing programs, the way that they treat you and how they make you feel. And if
yes,
you do have that imposter syndrome, they start with the first, we're going to weed out the bad. And you look
right,
around the classroom, you're the only Black person. And
yes,
so when they're trying to weed out the bad, you see certain things being targeted towards you, and it does try to shake you up. So
hmm
when you bounce back and then you're making your good grades, which is how you know you might have had that slip one time, but it was like, hold on,
yes,
let me catch myself. And then
right,
that 3.02, if you've had struggles in other classes, to get your GPA back up to that point is admirable. Like, I don't think people really understand how hard it is once you have
right,
had those struggles in other classes and you're like, hold on,
yes,
let me figure out how I need to study, how I best study,
hmm
what I need to study. Because sometimes we're over studying because we're already anxious.
right.
So it it kind of is what it is. You're here and you deserve to be here. And that
Thank you.
teacher, and I hate when they do that because so many people have to go through that. And
Mhm.
you're pointing out that I have the lowest GPA. Now you're trying to affect my self-confidence. This is a new slate. This is a clean slate. We shouldn't even be talking about the
Yes,
GPA
you
here.
don't even know me yet.
You don't even
I'm
know me yet.
this my second week, third week here. But
Mhm.
yes, it happened. But like I don't hold grudges
Mhm.
against people at all. What I do is okay, I just have I'm gonna show you attitude.
Right.
So, and it always, you never know what God is doing for you anyway, because I'm a
Mhm.
person that you have to kind of fuel. Once you fuel my fire, it's over with. I don't see
Thank
anything
you.
but the end.
I appreciate you for letting me know where I stood, but I'm gonna show you where I really stand.
Thank you. Thank
Because
you.
that, I feel like that's a very important component of having to deal with difficulty while in healthcare.
Yes.
Um, so what advice would you give to those who are looking into this field? Because I know that you have been
Mhm.
posting brief snippets of where you came from, how you got here. So
Yes.
what is that advice that you would give to someone who is like,
Mhm.
hold on, I want to be a pharmacist, but I do have those extra steps. Like, I am thinking, okay, so why are they polypharmacy? How can we get them off of being polypharmacy?
Mhm.
What are these drugs doing to them?
Mhm. So for those people who are just like me, do your own research,
Hmm.
but also don't be afraid to talk to people. So for me personally, I didn't have anyone around me going through school. When I was at FAMU, they would bring people in that have went on some of the similar path. And so I had to use those people as idols to look up
Hmm.
to in order to see how I wanted my path to be. So don't hesitate to go on LinkedIn or different platforms where professionals are.
Hmm.
Reach out to them. Reach out to them and kind of pick their brain, so to speak. Just because you get one no, email me or send me a message because I'm going to give you a yes because I was there in that position, not knowing what outside of pharmacy looked like.
Hmm.
And, pharmacists, they are very important. And so are the scientists that back this research as well as bringing novel medications to the forefront. So just do your research, reach out to people, be confident in your reach out, know your ask.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's hard to know, but, these are just people. We're all people.
Yes, that's what
So
we have to recognize.
yes, don't be afraid. And even if you are afraid, do it afraid. That's what
Hmm.
I always say, do it afraid. And eventually you'll get the right person to answer. And, but just know yourself, research, and see what you like and what you dislike. So I worked in the pharmacy for almost 12 years. I knew what I liked about pharmacy. I enjoyed reaching out and being able to serve my community, my local community. But as a pharmacist, I have a worldly reach now
Mhm.
dealing with medication, so I can reach my community as well as around the world. So you
Mhm.
just have to know what it is. First, be of service. And once you become being of service as a pharmacist, you have to love people, not just care for them. You have to
Mhm.
love them and care for them. And I've came across a lot of pharmacists that they were there for the
Yeah.
paycheck. You can't do that. You have to be humble enough, but you also have to be compassionate enough for the community that you're serving. So, get into these different shadowing programs. I was in the youth apprenticeship program in my hometown in high school. So I'm pretty sure they still have some of those programs. You can go and do summer rotations. I know in metro areas, they have a lot of different programs that you can do. You can shadow, go to doctor's office if you want to be a doctor. Pharmacy is a lot different because you have to be of a certain age and you have to be working on getting your license most times.
Mhm.
So you just have to check it out and speak with those people in your community that are pharmacists or doctors or scientists or whatever it is that you want to do. But reach out, and you're not alone in this. It takes, like they say, it takes a village. It
Yeah.
really does. It takes a village, and you have to be able to communicate.
Yes.
Yes. So those are the things I would say. And just don't give up before you get started.
And I feel like that's a lot of people. Like they see what they want to do, and
Hmm.
it seems like it's so far out of their reach, but they don't know that we come from similar backgrounds. Like
Hmm.
we're from very small cities,
Yes.
extremely small cities. Her city has chickens crossing the streets
Yes.
all the time. And we come from those small towns, and they have poured into us so
Hmm.
much. And when you have that, or when you are exposed to that type of camaraderie,
Hmm.
it's definitely something that pushes you forward. But if you do not have that, if you're seeing this and you didn't have anyone in your community who
Hmm.
look like you, who are taking the strides that Dr. Evans has taken, then you have to be like, okay, there are people who have made it with similar backgrounds. So what could this look like for me if I just said yes to myself?
Hmm.
Because you
Yeah.
don't know until you ask. They can give you a no or they can give you a yes. But if you don't ask anything, you can't get either.
Right. Yes. And let me just say one more thing. Go to your HBCUs, because a lot of your knowledge base is going to be found at your HBCU,
Hmm.
because a lot of those professors, they are able to pour into you in ways that others will not or cannot.
Hmm.
So use those HBCUs to your advantage, and, really get in there and build relationships with your professors, because they are well connected, and you need those connections in order to move to your next phase of life, whatever it may be in your profession or your career.
I love that you said that because I want to go to a HBCU one of these days. But we'll talk about that later because I
Yeah.
should be stopping school after this. What did research look like for you? Because I was looking at your articles,
Mhm.
all of them. Did they build upon one another?
So for me, yes.
Hmm.
So the compound that I used, it did build upon neurodegenerative diseases. I always get tongue tied with that, and I've
It's
said it
just it's
a
so much.
million times. Neurodegeneration, as well as oxidative stress,
Mhm.
and different ailments as it pertains to the brain, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, dementia. So yes, each one of them in their own way did build upon one another. Now, you will see that I'm featured in, or I am a co author on one, but
Mhm.
this is a different compound, but it also speaks about neurodegeneration. and natural compounds. So,
Hmm.
yes, they built upon one another, but they looked at different signaling pathways in some instances.
Okay, so when researching, like,
Mhm.
um, did you actually formulate the compound, put the compound together, or you were doing that?
So, I wasn't actively doing it. So how
Okay.
I did it, my compound is from an orange. So the
Okay.
compound that I use, you eat it every day if you eat an orange. So it's the one of the I would say ingredients in the orange. So it's we have hesperidin and hesperidin. So
Mhm.
when you ingest the orange, it's very rich and potent on the peel of the orange, but the white part of the orange that you can't sometimes seems
Get
to
off.
get off
Yeah.
is there. But yeah, it builds upon that and how that compound can be useful in protecting our neurons. So it does cross the blood-brain barrier. So I looked at what we call microglial cells. So these are the cells in the brain that are like garbage cans. So they're the cleanup service, the
Mhm.
janitors. And so when these cells get overstimulated, then we have some dysfunction. So my compound, we looked at how can this compound protect the neurons as well as, alleviate some of the stressors that pertains to Alzheimer's disease.
I love that you said that because who would have known? Who would have known? And I love that that's what you were doing, and it's something that you can eat every day.
Mm-hmm.
And most people have no idea about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy listening to you, understanding what you do now. Because for the longest time, Jasmine, I was like, okay, so what is Jasmine doing again? And when you explained it to me, I was like, "Oh, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
toxicology." But
Mm-hmm.
initially, because I thought that you had gone to school for pharmacy
Mm-hmm.
and you would say pharmaceutical sciences, I was like, "Okay, it's pharmaceutical sciences."
Yes, everybody can. So I did go to pharmacy school. I
Uh-huh.
was in pharmacy school, yes, but I am not in the farm. I'm not getting the PharmD, or I didn't get a PharmD. I have
Mhm.
the PhD. So I did sit in classes with pharmacists. We did
Mhm.
go through some of the different phases of like when we first got in there. We went through some of the initial coursework and classes. However, we had to have a deeper understanding. So we
Mhm.
had to know exactly, like I took some pharmaceutics classes, so we had to be well rounded in this
Mhm.
area. So yes, so we had to know all the things about the medications, not only their class, not only the drug, but we had to know then when that medication was ingested, where does it go? What where does it affect? What happens? Where does it go through the first pass effect? If it's oral, if it's intravenous, if it's nasal, we had to know everything. So yes, but I did go to pharmacy school, but I'm not a pharmacist. I am on the science end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that we are like in science
Mm-hmm.
so much so because it's being in STEM, and I feel like because I'm not in the science community as much anymore, but I'm still able to understand the articles and figure out my way around the science departments. Now I'm like, okay, so what would it look like if a nurse were to go over into the research side of
Mm-hmm.
things? Because there are nurse researchers. So for those of
Yes.
that are listening that are nurses, and you feel as though I don't want to go back to school because it's
Mm-hmm.
always the I don't want to go back to school because of the time or the financial responsibility. But you can definitely go into research if that is something that you're looking into. If you
Mm-hmm.
feel like, hey, I think that I would like to see how the medications affect the body and what I can do
Mm-hmm.
to maybe work alongside a Dr. Evans to figure these things out. So it's just so beautiful seeing everything that you are doing and that you have done. How do you manage any stress or anxiety while you were in school?
It was definitely challenging. My stress didn't come from, not having financial support because my
Mm-hmm.
parents had me. It didn't come from that. It came from me not being able to work. I know that might
Yeah.
sound, because like as a researcher, so that was my full time. I was responsible for growing my cells. Those were my babies basically. I had to do all of the work. So with research in my aspect, so my dissertation, I had to do the work in order to get those results. And yes, I
Mm-hmm.
had a lot of help, but I was responsible for moving that project along. So yeah, it's a lot, but you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What really stressed me out was not being able to work, because like I said, I loved working in the pharmacy. I loved to do it, but I could
Mm-hmm.
not do it. I had to have a mind shift. Okay, Jasmine. And this is how I had to just talk to myself. Okay, Jasmine, you can't do that. You have to focus on this,
Mm-hmm.
because this is leading up to those questions that you always wanted to know the answer to. Well, hey, now you're about to find the answers, but you can't do this and do that. You have to
Right. You have to make a
focus.
choice.
Yes. And that was the hardest choice. It was really hard for me,
Because that
but
was your lifestyle. Like that was a
yes,
habit going to work, doing
yes,
all the things at work. It became a habit for you. So
yes.
to break doing that, it does become stressful. It's almost like you're
Yes.
going through a grief period too, because this is who
Yes.
I used to be.
Yes. And I did have to do that, going grieve who I was. I had
Hmm.
to let go of who I was to create room and space for who I was becoming and who I
Hmm.
am becoming, evolving.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see it. You
There
see
we
it, Jasmine.
go.
Yes. And again, we are concluding this episode, but I will say what she just said is very important, because as nurses, especially if you don't have that financial cushion from
Hmm.
your family, it
Hmm.
can be a lot harder. Because child, I was driving Lyft, Uber, working at Kohl's, working at a hospital, but it didn't give me the time to actually dedicate all my energy to
Hmm.
my studies. So if you're able to do that, whether it's through scholarships or whether it's through grants,
Yes.
if you don't have the parents that can financially support you, there are ways that you can get support. So
Hmm.
don't look at it like I'm not going to be able to work again. You will be able to work, but you'll
Hmm.
be working towards the purpose that you have.
Exactly.
And you have to create that room for whatever is there for you, whether it's pivoting like Dr. Evans has done and saying, you know what, pharmacy, like being a pharmacist is not for me, but pharmacology, toxicology, getting my PhD, because that was exposed to me, it answers a lot of the questions that I had prior to this.
Hmm.
Making those pivots and changes as you need to, because we only get one life, right? We only get one. So do whatever it is that makes you feel good about you, because can't nobody live it for you.
No.
Nobody. And all the judgment will come. People will think you crazy for going to school for umpteen years. Like,
Yes.
why are you still in school? You may have to miss out on some things like family gatherings, all of those things, but it's for a reason. And I do pray for y'all because I remember how I felt
Yes.
not being able to go to the
Yes.
function.
Or not being able to remember. So yes, it's a lot of things that I have to say, I don't remember that. I have to tell my sister, like,
Hmm.
what was that? She said, Jasmine, you don't remember that? I said, no. I said, what time frame was it? I said, oh, I was, I don't remember because I wasn't there, because I was either working or I
Hmm.
was in school working. So yeah, and it's okay. You're not going to be able to be at everything. And sometimes your presence is not needed. And you have to know that.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll feel that guilt too about not
Yes.
being there or not showing up. But like you said, yes, Jasmine, you was there. You don't remember that? You're like, nah, I wasn't there. You thought I
Yes.
was because, like you said, my presence wasn't needed, but it
Right.
was felt. Y'all felt
Yes.
like I was there, so I did my job.
Yes.
But Dr. Evans, I really do appreciate you for coming onto the podcast. You didn't have to come on here, but you did. I truly do love seeing the things that my classmates and friends are doing in science and their career paths because it's so beautiful to see where you were and where you are now. I really do appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And I do feel like the research and science that you're doing, I'm gonna eat me an orange today,
Okay.
that you're doing is needed in the medical community because
Hmm.
people don't recognize that health is wealth and you can get it from your food sometimes.
Right. Yes. So that was the science and research that I did. So
Hmm.
now I work in industry. I have what we call a big girl job.
How does
Yes.
that feel?
It is different, I
Hmm.
will say, but I do a lot of reading and things of that nature. So I have to use the education that I have and the understanding of science to move things along now. So I'm not in the lab. I don't
Hmm.
do anything lab related. But I understand what happened in the lab,
Hmm.
or and I look at that research, and I know how to understand that research, the data, from
Hmm.
end to end. So I know all the ins and outs, and if I don't know it, I have to go and do what we call a literature review. So I have to
Hmm.
read about it to understand what's going on. But yes, so that's where we are now.
Okay, I love that. I love a big girl job. We all have our big girls jobs. But thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I'm sure that this will be great for people who are looking to do what you're doing. In addition to that, people who are not, who also want to go into research.
Yes.
So, for those who have made it to the end of this episode, let's give Dr. Evans a huge round of applause. It's so odd calling her Dr. Evans now because I knew her when she was Jasmine, but Dr. Evans, y'all put some respect on the PhD that she has,
That's
okay?
right. Thank
Um,
you.
y'all make sure that you go over and follow her on her Instagram, her TikTok, and her LinkedIn because once you have those questions, she will reach back out to you with whatever capacity that she has to reach out to you in. And I hope that y'all have a great day and happy midterms because we are in midterm season and y'all have a good one. Bye.
Bye bye.